political choice, and the people of this country will remember the choice they made.
Yeah.
Danny Kruger. How to follow that? Okay, well, thank you very much indeed, Mr. Deputy Speaker, for calling me. I'll try and just use the microphones for amplification. I'm actually grateful to the opposition for choosing this subject. I think it's a very good way of framing the mission that we have as a country, because a nation that is good to grow up and grow old in is one that is also ready for the threats of our times. And I'm with Edmund Burke, who said, and I quote, that the sources of the Commonwealth are in the households. The strength of our country is found in our families and in our communities. And these threats are very real. We've seen in this century already how precarious our financial system is. We've seen very recently what a pandemic can do to global health and economy systems. We are witnessing now the appalling reality of war in Europe and the real threat of nuclear war. And I think also of the threats of technological collapse triggered by accident or sabotage, and the prospect, even if we don't fully believe the prophets of the apocalypse, but of what climate change could do to the developing world and inducing extraordinary upheaval and the prospect of hundreds of millions of people on the move, heading for our safe and temperate continent. So we face a series of very real threats to our country and to our civilization. There's a lot to be confident about in the UK, the strength of our institutions, including our democracy, and for all our disputes, the strength of this place, our Parliament. And I think also of the dedication of those who serve the state on the front line, not least in the British Army. And I mention those who form the largest garrison in the UK, in my constituency in Wiltshire. But some of the greatest assets of our country, Mr. Deputy Speaker, are not mostly found in the agencies of the British state. And I think of two recent crises that did us proud as a country. The situation of millions of isolating people during the COVID lockdowns, and the plight of hundreds of thousands of refugees fleeing the war in Ukraine. And for all the efforts of ministers and officials in both those situations, I think it is fair to say that the apparatus of the state struggled to manage fast enough to help. But society did. Millions of people stepped forward during COVID to organise spontaneously mutual aid groups to support their neighbours. And we have had hundreds of thousands of people offering homes and support for refugees. In both these cases, the state enabled and helped fund the work of communities, but it was communities that took the initiative and did the work. And this brings me to the nub of my argument. If we are to rise to the threats of our time, the crucial thing, the watchword of our whole strategy, should be resilience. Now, of course, this means national security, and yes, we need to modernise the British state. We need to invest even more than we are in our national defence, and we need real security in our energy supplies, our food supplies, and in technology. But the system we really need to be strong isn't the state or the economy, it's society itself. This is the real foundation of national resilience and national security, the security of our communities and our families. So how do we strengthen our communities and our families? Well, our communities need the plans outlined in the Levelling Up Bill, in the Queen's speech, more devolution, more community power. And I also want to see more reform of our public services to put them in the hands of local people, not outposts of the central state. And our families need more power and resources too. We need more family-sized homes, including affordable and social housing, as has been announced. And I also welcome the plans for the expansion of the Community Hubs programme. And when it comes to childcare and social care, the answer does not lie, in my view, in ever greater, larger provision, large-scale warehousing of children and the elderly, trying to arrange for the home and the family to do as little as possible. We must help people to live as they would prefer, to work closer to home, to have time for meaningful family life. We need people to be able to spend the money that is available for childcare and residential social care in the way that is best for them, to look after their children or their parents at home if they wish, or to pay for informal support among friends and family. To put it bluntly, it shouldn't only be possible to get government money if you put your dependents in an institution. And while I'm at it, Mr. Deputy Speaker, we need tax and benefits that reward couples, not penalise them. The family is the best and the most important welfare agency that we have or possibly could have. we should invest in it and trust in it. Thank you.
Marion Fellows.
Madam Deputy Speaker,